All right, so I'm just going to put this camera down in there. That, folks, is not good news. Man, look down through there, Ron.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching. Today's going to be a fun one. We've got some extra pieces and parts in here. They're all fun ones. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys, and thanks for subscribing too. It's kind of overwhelming, but we have an extra one of these. You eagle eyes know that it's a subframe. It's a subframe from a '71 Camaro, and why do I have two? Well, there's a couple of good reasons. We'll get into that as we go. This one's been smooth, it's been stitch welded, and it's almost ready for paint. And I get the luxury of building new suspension on this one while I still have a roller. So that's the big thing here. How did I get it? Well, it came from this guy, Ron.
Hey, man.
This is Ron Ryan. If you've hung around me at all, then you know about Mr. Freeze's 76?
75.
75 Camaro, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
But it's a beautiful second-gen Camaro, and we became friends when Ron was doing his own paint job, and you know, we just exchanged information and just got to be friends over it. I mean, you figure out when people connect, and Ron did a great job on that car, and it's just a great benchmark. And man, it shows, just like with the AMD Garage episode, it shows what you can do in a home garage environment. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Great to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Why do I have an extra subframe?
Because you need to build one on the side while you have this roller. You can't do it both.
Tell us about your son's car, about Cody's car.
Okay, it's a '71 Camaro.
Yeah.
We got it from a friend of ours who goes around and picks up old cars and stuff, and we got it. And I got it in the shop, and it's a dream he's always wanted to have, is to have a split bumper.
Hello?
And, yeah. And I love them too. I love all the second-gen Camaros. But anyways, so we started tearing it down, and as we were just getting deeper and deeper into it, it just turned into more and more rust. So next thing I know, I'm replacing everything.
Yeah.
So we decided to redo this subframe and going to put some frame connectors and all that on it. And from there, we put rear frame rails in the car. And then after that, we decided to go with maybe a little more stiffer chassis.
Well, that's because you decided to go with the big supercharged LSX and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
And, you know, the point is, in the first place, a Schwartz chassis is a beautiful piece of engineering.
Yes.
As you know,
Yes.
I've used them on a couple of different projects that I've built, and just great technology. And on top of that, it's a family-owned business, and they've just got a great mindset and great. I can't say enough good things about them.
Great people.
And yeah, and again, it's people like you that I've been fortunate enough to become friends with over the years. But it's a great decision for your car.
Yes.
Big beefed up engine, full Schwartz chassis, world-class suspension, room for giant tires in the back and all that kind of stuff. So
yes, and we even were able to do the mini tub kit on it just for that particular reason.
Yeah. So Ron ended up with a subframe, and I was over there looking at his car when I was bouncing around with AMD Garage last year, and I said, what are we going to do with that?
Yeah.
And, you know, and so my plan is this. You know, I could do exactly what Ron's done with this subframe, smooth it, media blast it, get it down to bare metal, seam weld it, body work it, prime it. Here it is. It's been done. This is 2K primer. It's not completely finished. There's a couple of little things that we're going to work on today, but this gets me weeks ahead, man.
Good.
Weeks ahead.
Yes.
So I'm stoked. And as I'm finally at the point where I'm putting this car together, I'm taking inventory of stuff that I need. And you ended up, because the Schwartz chassis comes loaded with brake lines and stuff, right?
Yes, everything. Fuel
and you guys had this, so
yes.
I'm getting a really good deal.
Yes.
On some of this stuff. Crossover brake lines up to the master. And this was a surprise. I didn't know about this. This is a Holley transmission mount. I use this on Zed-Sled, actually. It's a really nice piece of kit.
Yes.
This sandwiches into your frame rails on the inside of the subframe and bolts in very, very secure. It's billet. It's movable. You can move it around if you need to, depending on the transmission that you get. Engine mount. So this is great. So Ron's giving me a great deal on this. The point that I wanted to make here. It's that plans change. These
Yes.
projects evolve.
Yes.
And they change. And you know, as much as we had conversations about this, is we can plan, and we're both planners.
Yes.
And everything looks great on paper, and we stock stuff and we mothball stuff, and then our plans change. So what do we do with all the parts?
That's right. And it's best to have a plan when you go into these things, because if it changes, it can get expensive.
Well, if you go without a plan, it gets twice as expensive.
Right, right.
At least you can go to a marketplace and you can sell that and recoup some of the money. So anyway, so that's where we're at. So today is subframe tech, and yeah, we're going to do, there's one little piece of business that I'm going to do on this one, this hole right here. There's a little bit of rust, and I'm going to build that back up. I'm going to grind that down and build that back up with steel, and we're going to make that have a little bit more integrity, because that's a subframe mount to the bottom of the whole firewall balloon assembly and all that stuff. So we're going to make that a little bit stronger so I can feel better about that, and yeah, let's get after it. How much do you think this weighs?
What do you think? 100 some change, maybe.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and you know, the high dollar ones, they're great and everything like that. There's nothing wrong with this.
Right, right.
You know, you can load this up with decent suspension, have a great handling car. I mean, the geometry.
Subframe connectors. And
How many hot rodders have put this underneath it, like a 56 Ford truck or
exactly.
something?
Yeah, exactly. A bunch.
Yeah. So what did you do with this? You media blasted it?
Yes, we got all the way down to metal.
Yeah.
And then we welded in this section up here. We finished the weld off, because it had factory welds, but we kind of completed them.
Yeah.
And then back here, and then I used some polyester primer, or not primer, but filler over it to kind of smooth it out and get rid of the seam. And then I put an epoxy, Eastwood epoxy, and then the other.
So this is in 2K.
This is in 2K.
Yeah, good. So since you've seam welded this, what I might do is, since it hasn't been done here, I might grind that down to metal, and I might fill in some of these welds, just so there's just no real difference in the rigidity of it all the way back. And then, you know, because that's underneath the car, nobody's ever going to see it. I don't have to body work that and finish it out, but I will paint it. And then I'll paint this satin just like the cowl, and it'll look like $1 million. So this is cool. All right, let's get some weapons.
Okay.
You didn't fully weld it, you just welded in between the factory stuff, right?
Yes.
All right, well, let's do the same thing here. And if you just want to get it bare, you know, I think just those 3 places, maybe a little past that, and I'll just run a fat bead in there, and that'll at least get the strength. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to get set up with Air Tool to work on that, and I'll just let you go nuts on this.
Okay.
All right.
That's good.
I think it feels pretty smooth on the back side of here.
Yes.
But we might flip this over and prep the back side just to make sure that it's good metal.
This side's so much better than that side.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell the shoulder's still on the round hole. Okay, well, I think that maybe all the filler's gone. That ought to do it, I think. Well, that's clean for sure. All right, so welding is kind of a solo thing, and I only have one helmet, sorry. But if you don't mind, if you could grind some of those rosette welds flush on the quarter panels, that'd be great, man.
Great.
Yeah.
Get that done? Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, tools, you've got flap wheel, that bandsaw, yeah, whatever you need, I'll just leave you with it.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool, thanks.
All right.
So we're not dealing with sheet metal anymore. We've got a guide here. So we'll just do a test here. The guide on the side tells me where about to put the welder. We'll do a test bead and we'll see where we're at and see if we get good penetration. And yeah, but I gotta suit up. I don't want the tan that goes from there to there. Not fashionable. All right, so that's what I wanted. It's a little bit standy-uppy, but we've got good penetration and bit of a hole there. But these are fine. That does what I wanted to do because there's my weld and a factory weld and my weld and a factory weld. And that's just gonna continue what Ron had started on this subframe. The only thing I've got left to do is just fill in this, make it a little bit more whole again, but I'm gonna open up the garage door because it's getting super smoky in here. All right, while the smoke clears, let's check out what Ron's doing. It looks good. Yeah, make them a little flatter. Yeah,
Okay.
grind them totally flush. Like that's about what I want.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna wipe that whole thing with filler.
Right.
And just smooth it completely out. I'm not gonna worry about what the factory spot welds look like or anything like that. But yep. Sorry to make it so smoky in here.
Oh, it's all good. Progress.
Progress. It's the smell of work happening.
Right.
That sounded weird. So Ron got back to work grinding the spot welds and flattening them out, doing a DA sander afterwards to blend them into the E-coat, and worked his way over to the other side. While all that was going on, I suited up again and started welding on the pocket that the subframe attaches to the car to. This piece probably would have been just fine and held in place, but I felt better giving the metal more integrity because there is some clamping force attached, and if I ever kind of do autocrossy things with this car, I don't want any metal to fatigue and possibly cause a break or fracture or even bad handling. All right, so I've filled this in a pretty good bit. I've made it to where now I need to grind it out for the bushing. This is the front subframe bushing. These are solid aluminum billet. They're from DSE. And since we're stiffening this up a little bit, it doesn't make sense to put stiffer chassis without making these rigid mount as well, because you don't want it to deflect right here while it's stiffer everywhere else. So I'm feeling good about this. Now I've just got to get a grinder and waller that out just a little bit. You can see it doesn't need much, but I'm going to get a carbide burr and I'm going to round that out carefully, and that should commence to be the end of that repair. So I'm stoked on that. Bob's going to be my uncle. So I'm working over here. Ron's on the grinder. He's already managed to tear up my belt sander. I'm joking. He actually hear me. No, he just a belt went away, right?
Yeah, I just tore a belt up.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's looking good.
Yep, that's enough. I don't even think I'm gonna. I think I might just sand and paint those. Like I said, that's underneath the chassis. The only thing that's everybody's gonna see it is a bug that we happen to run over. Carl's up in there.
Yeah, that's really strengthened it up.
Yep. Well, it'll just make it match the front.
And that's much better.
I feel better about that. So I'm gonna flatten that out with a flap wheel.
Yes.
Make it round with a burr. That should be good. A flap wheel is kind of my go-to for moving metal around. It gets a lot done quickly and stays relatively cool as opposed to a regular rock grinder. After tracing out the bushing, I followed that up with the carbide burr and the pencil grinder. With the bushing fit, I would chase everything with 80 grit and just kind of smooth off the edges. While I was doing that, Ron was busy flattening out all the welds in the quarters and the door frames and chasing that with the 80 grit on a DA. And I swear, with two people working, more than twice the work can actually get done. So it's pretty cool to have somebody else in the shop. While it's cleaned up and sanded, I use my Pickle X phosphatizer on the bare metal and work it in with a red scuffing pad. This just preps it for the next step, which is going to be an epoxy coat. Gives me a chance to look at my welds without any oxidation or soot on them as well. And they're okay. I'm happy with them. Hey, Ron?
Yeah.
Can you give me a hand flipping this subframe over? What's the best way to do it? Set it on its end and then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Going this way.
Yeah, it's not bad with two guys.
No.
Cool. I think that just needs a scuffing pad.
Yeah, it's just from sitting in the back of the truck and just sitting the last little while.
Yeah. I mean, it's just those edges that got exposed. Yep.
I feel like I did some smoothing up here too.
It looks smoother.
Yeah.
All this junk is hidden. I mean, it's completely buried.
I think this was. Oh, I think I cleaned that up. I spent like 2 weeks cleaning this thing.
Oh no, they're terrible. It's hard to do. It's a lot of work, man. Yeah, that's coming right off of there.
Yeah.
All right, so cleaning this stuff up, I found a little piece of, this is fiberglass filler right here. Now, Ron's being camera guy. This stuff is a fiberglass short strand body filler. And I was just gonna peel it off with my thumb. No, not even close. So I'm having to chisel this stuff off. So if you've ever wondered if there's good adhesion with those Eastwood fillers, wonder no more. And that was on bare steel. That stuff sticks, man. So I'm impressed with that. I couldn't pull it off. Anyway, cool. There you go. All right, so this is a tech tip that you might have seen me do on Derek's OBS truck, but this is something Ron and I talked about, and Ron's being gracious, he's being camera guy again, but I wanted to show you this. This is important. With these subframes, this is single wall on both ends, so the lower control arm, if you're replacing them, they can be a real bear cat to get in and out. So here's what I'm talking about. Take a closer look here. This, from the factory, was flat stop. I don't know if you can tell, flat stock. I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of cupped in there, it's kind of cupped in here. You can visualize how getting wrenched on and torqued, this can squeeze in. When you go to put your new arm in, sometimes you really got to fight them. So what a smart man told me about once is making a little mini press. Basically, we're going to use, well, this is kind of a homemade version of it, but that's okay. What we're going to do is build a press out of stuff that you can get anywhere. And you can see what I'm working with. It's a flat washer and a lug nut. And another lug nut. And another flat washer. Some assembly required. All right, that's what I wanted. So now, I'm going to get enough traction on that where I can get pressure on either side. A piece of all thread works great. The one that I had was for a larger diameter opening for the bolt shaft. So now we got that. And all we're going to do is put a little bit of pressure on it. And it doesn't take much because it's single wall to move that out. By holding one still and moving the other one, it's putting outward pressure from the inside, right? I suppose I should have measured that so I can show you before and after, but you get the drift. So I can see that's moved out already. And of course, when you tighten your lower control arms, that's going to come back in because again, it's single wall. And that's all it takes. It's a little bit of prep that you're going to thank me for when you're laying on your back, upside down, aggravated with wrenches, and you can't stuff that silly thing in there. You can't get enough leverage because your creeper keeps scooting you around on the floor. It's no fun at all. So there you go. While I get this thing undone, I've got 3 more to do, so I'm just going to say, you're welcome. This little press may not be necessary every time, but before I knew this, I would do things like trim down the bushings and use a big dang hammer to open up the openings for the control arms. And it's just a nice thing to know that I don't have to do that. Is it time well spent? Yes. Is it something that needed to happen? I don't know. But when I go to put the new control arms in, I'm pretty certain that I will appreciate having done this. So you've never used Picklex?
Never used it, no.
So it's a mild acid with a phosphatizer. So the way it protects the metal is it puts a shield on it. Basically, it's an atmosphere barrier. Super great. I love it. It'll keep flash rust off forever. It is an acid, so we've got gloves and glasses on. but just where you've sanded and stuff and prepped the metal. The real work is done in about 30 or 40 seconds. But just in case I don't have full coverage on it, I'll take a scuffing pad and I'll just work it in. I want to make sure I've got it in all those voids and all the sanding scratches and blah, 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 thorough, best practice, all that garbage. But anyway, just working it. And you can see, you can actually feel the surface tension change when you rub on this stuff. And you can see, I mean, right there where the acid drips are. Yeah. And you can see it kind of changes it to a just a little bit different color. And since there is excessive amounts right here, I'm just going to wipe it off, just get the excess off. It doesn't hurt the E-coat. The big thing is to remember that it's on there.
Right.
Because as great as it is, if you try and put body filler on it, it'll turn loose. It won't stick. So an epoxy coat first, then our body filler. Yeah, so that's the only caveat with this stuff is you can't put filler right over top of it. But it's a really great tie coating and makes the epoxy stick way better too. Right. The company advertises it like it's an anti-spatter for welding too. So if you want to pre-treat your metal before welding, that's what they claim it's really good for. But that's it, man. And this, like I told you, I've been using this stuff for a long time, and I bought a gallon about 5 years ago, and I've barely used a quart out of it. So, yeah. So that's the deal with that. Good job on that stuff. Thank you. Hey. Saved me time.
Absolutely.
All right, so I've got all this prepped and wiped down. All we got to do is scuff over the top and wipe it. So let's flip it like we did the other time. Yeah. Perfect. I'll give you a pad. I'll give me a pad, and we
get the scuffing.
Yeah, and I did the sides, just whatever you think. Just kind of knock a little bit of tooth into it. And then this thing's ready to prime and paint, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you were saying something about the extra holes in the subframe. Tell me about that.
So, for the motor mounts. So for the motor mounts, the older style Camaros had or the early ones, early second gens, had a smaller motor mount. They didn't have the clamshell. So with that kit, you had to drill the extra hole for the clamshell style because it's just a little wider.
Yeah.
So that kit came with the template. And I was able to drill the holes for each side. So you have all these holes, which some are from the original, the others are for the new kit.
So, most importantly, I don't have to drill any more holes.
No. You may have to fill some in.
So how much time do you think you're going to have? Are you keeping up with time on your 71?
Loosely. I've gotten to a point where I've got so many hours in it now, I've probably stopped counting just to, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work.
But to do it right.
Well, and keeping track of time on a home project or a DIY project, you know, it's not all billable hours.
Right.
But I'll never forget, and this was a lesson to me. It was at a body shop, and we had a frame repair guy. His name was Russell. And Russell would walk in, he'd get a car locked down onto the Chief Easy Liner.
Right.
And he'd go get his first cup of coffee, and he'd sit there and look at that car. And he would look at it for 45 minutes, maybe an hour, different angles, looking at it. And one of the shop foremen got really mad at him one day. Russell, what are you doing? You're wasting time. We're building this. We got 3 more back behind that one. And what he was doing is he was thinking his way through that damage.
Right.
And so that downtime that foreman got mad at him for was him processing the damage, seeing where the energy went, looking for wrinkles, super inspecting to see, because, you know, it's when a car gets hit, it doesn't just stop.
Right.
You see the slow motion videos of the crash tests. It goes in and it ripples and it flexes and then it goes back and then
like
it comes
an accordion.
back. Like an accordion. Like it's made out of rubber. And so he was thinking his way through that damage to know where to pull from, where his mount points are going to be, all that stuff. And it was a powerful lesson because they literally got mad at each other on the floor. But he wouldn't back down. And he said, this is my process. This is how I think through things.
Right.
And it made perfect sense to me. So my point with that is that sometimes we just sit here and stare at these stupid things.
Yeah.
And you got to think your way through, and maybe then you remember where you put a part that you need, or maybe, I don't know, man. It's not all wrench turning. Sometimes you got to think your way through stuff.
That's right. Yeah, it's looking better already.
Yep. Looking like $1 million. All right, hold your breath. All right. Next, I'm not gonna spray this in here. I want us to carry it over to the booth. We'll hang it. I've got hooks in the ceiling. We'll hang it so I can get access all the way around it. I'm okay with painting some stuff in here, but I don't want to cover up the rest of the shop.
Right.
You know, anyway, so
then you can hang it and go around.
Get access to everything.
Yeah.
So we'll throw this in the truck, and I guess the next time you guys see this, it'll be hanging from the spray booth, and we'll figure out what to do then. But you know what time it is too. It's about lunchtime.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ron has been kind enough to offer, and I think what you said was, if it gets you further ahead, let's go ahead and do it.
Right.
And so,
Progress is progress.
the 100-pound doors. He's gonna get one, I'm gonna get the other. I gotta break these things down. The big red X, I was telling him, the big red X was to get him ready for the Media Blaster guy when he was here, and I just didn't have time to break them apart. So these need to come apart. They need to be body worked and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's next, just so you know. And I guess the best way to lay these is to bring the horses up to where they'll go along here. Mm-hmm. So if you leave them like this, they're so stinking heavy. I mean, this one's already oil canning. So I feel better about that.
Yes, much better.
Yep. All right, so let's just set this one on top of that one. Fish. Maybe.
I feel that one better.
I told you I weighed these, right?
No.
98 pounds.
98.
Fully loaded.
It feels every bit of 198.
Yeah, it's crazy. I haven't even really looked at these frames under here.
Right.
That's just surface rust.
Yes. Yep.
That's not horrible. And the hinges, of course, they're brand new. Weather seals are good. This trim panel is actually not that bad.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
It's the cardboard backing's all screwed up here. What are you guys going to do on the Cody car?
New door shells.
What about the interior, though?
AMD. Oh, we don't know. We'll probably go get with Mike on that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And this one, that's that rotten seam sealer. I think we're okay for the frames. I don't even think I need to skin them. I think that one patch on the other side of the one that's got a hole in it. Hello. Oh, Lord knows what's in there. Why am I sticking my finger in here? Oh, it's full of, yeah, it's a mouse nest in there.
Yes.
All right, so let's blow these things apart. And I've got a box of Ziploc bags, and just keep track of everything and
Sounds good.
hit it and get it. The internet is great for stuff, but Ron just had a really, really great idea. he said, "Do you need any pictures of this for reference?" And check this out. There's spot welds there that'll rip your hand open, but look at that printing.
Oh, nice.
What is that? What is it? It looks like parts of Chevrolet.
It's almost like it's
stamped backwards and
yes,
forwards.
forward, yes. It's like it says Chevrolet, and then it's stamped back over the other direction.
I've never seen that before.
I've never
That's
seen
crazy.
it either. Got a lot of these doors off.
Maybe somebody in YouTube land can help us out with that. That's just strange. All right, so kind of a crazy, interesting thing. Like you said, this is riveted on. So I remember Zed's sled, 78 model, having the rivets.
Mm-hmm.
And this relief right here is what was the giveaway for me. I just took the pull handle off of this car. This is the original door to garbage. Same color primer and everything. And there's 2 bolts here that the pull handle screws down into. It's a different stamping. What do you think, man? I'm going to look into the interior thing because
Yeah, when you go to start mounting stuff, it might be different.
yeah, and it's the only real difference is right here where the pull handle bolts in and it rivets in here, right?
Mm-hmm. These actually have the
Yeah, it's got captured nuts.
yes, as well as the
Okay, so the crank is riveted
Completely
in,
different.
bolted in. It looks the same location.
location-wise. Yeah, slightly bigger opening. I don't know
Yeah.
if that really matters, but
And I wouldn't care if this was riveted in, that one's bolted in, it doesn't matter to me. There's a recess in that other panel, and it's not going to be the same pocket.
correct.
Well, let's just pull them down and get the glass out of them anyways, and then I'll get back on the web and do some research, and I'll talk to my buddy Jason at AMD and see what kind of stamping theirs have. Maybe you've got new AMD doors, don't you?
Yes,
Maybe you could send me a picture when you get home.
I can do that.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, so the plot thickens, man. Not in a way that I wanted it to, but yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I'm really glad I didn't have these blasted and then just forget about it.
Right.
So, you want to do this? You want me to do it? I'm going to get a cushiony glove on, though. All right. There it is. All it took was a little bit of brute force.
Yeah.
Heat didn't work, screwdrivers didn't work, prayer didn't work.
We might not
Ooh, look at the mouse house in here.
have noticed.
Wow. Holy smokes. I'm gonna get a different camera. We're gonna go sailing in the forensic pond here. All right, you can see that from the outside. That's nasty is what that is. That's a, wow. Man, I expect bodies to be flying out of there. What the son of a, that's like some whole mattress worth.
Yeah. In case there's any skeletons or.
Yeah, well, just the feces, man. That stuff can get you sick.
Yes, very much so.
Blech. They worked hard on that. That is not a factory installation package right there. All right, so I'm just gonna put this camera down in there. That, folks, is not good news. Man, look down through there, Ron.
Oh, yeah.
People make jokes about it and stuff like that. That rodent urine is super, super caustic metal. Oh, it's bad. That whole bottom of that door is like that. So just for kicks, Ron was saying, Kevin, why don't you just put a skin on it? And I said, yeah, but I'm sad. I don't want to. And so what we're going to do is just grind the door skin off and take a look. And we'll make the judgment call as to whether we can skin it or whether this piece is too far gone. So there's no way to know unless you know. Right. Yeah. All right. So in theory,
Skin should come off.
this becomes a two-piece door, right?
Well, sounds like there's more than 2 pieces in there, but
Yeah. You got the skin?
yeah, I got it.
All right. All right. This is everybody's first time seeing this door frame. Impact beam. Look at the, okay, so before we see the bad news, look at this. That's the factory dip primer. It's nearly perfect, right? Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Okay. Rest of the inside of the shell is fine. What do you think, man? I've got some wire wheels. Let's hit it with wire brushes and see if there's any pinholes in the metal.
Yeah,
It might be savable.
just that section.
This right here, super easy, man. I can make that piece. All right, we may have just found some hope.
Yeah, further investigation needed.
Further investigation needed, 100%. All right, so we're going to jump on that with wire wheels and brushes and optimism. All right, we got the door flipped over. Camera on the right setting this time, actually. So this makes me happier because it's looking way more solid, right?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
And these little, you see the little nebula right there, that's for the weather seal. These holes are in good shape, that helps. There's some pinholes in this flange right here,
Yeah.
but I've got a big sheet of 20 gauge over in the corner there. You can see it. There you see it right there by the fenders. I can make that flange pretty easy, welded in.
Yeah, as long as we keep our water gutters here.
Yeah. Did you see how I did the floor drain
I did.
slots? Little Dremel tool.
Good job.
Just take your time out. Thank you. So we'll do the same thing on that because you got to have these floor drains, guys, right? But I think what we're going to do now, since this is all scaled off, I think the plan is to put some rust treatment on there. I might clean it off with a solvent. I might not. I'm going to read the instructions. Anyway, so we're going to put some rust sealant on there and let it sit. And just because of science, I think that's kind of a finish and a conclusion of the day. And Well, I think the instruction says there must be beer at the end
beer.
after you finish that.
Yeah. Step 12, beer.
Okay. There's more than two of us.
You know,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially since Cody's keeping that thing, right?
yes, exactly.
The last thing you want is in 5 years at a car show, you see a bubble or something like that. That
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
can break your heart. It's a rust converter.
Okay.
It's an Eastwood thing. And you brush it on, you do a light coat, you wait for it to turn black. It reacts with the iron oxide, the actual oxided rust. You can see it's already turning black. And then you let it flash when it loses its white appearance, and you hit it with the second coat. And it's real liquidy, so it dives under areas and stuff like that. Like in between pinch welds, it does a pretty good job. But I did all the insides of the quarters. I put new outer wheel houses on, but all the inside stuff I did with this, and it wasn't very rusty, but there was a little bit of surface rust. It certainly wasn't this bad, but it makes me feel better about covering it up forever. And this stuff is paintable also when it cures.
You know, sometimes stuff looks worse than it really is until you tear it down and get down to it. This is already looking better.
And with this stuff, before I put that skin on, I'll put a wet coat of paint on here too. So it should hold up for a good long while.
Yeah.
And the rest of the inside of this door frame is in really nice shape. All right,
It really is.
We'll let that turn black. Hit it with another one. Okay, so it's the next day. There was, in fact, adult beverages in the form of pretty awesome pineapple margaritas.
They were great.
And we made the executive decision, it was me, to go and look for some second-gen Camaros, right? You know, so it's awesome cars and coffee here in Columbia. And so we're gonna go, might run into some friends, and we're gonna go get inspiration.
Yeah, very much needed.
Those doors sucked the joy out of me, I'm just telling you. We also have the Rocket Miata. So we'll take a gentle cruise downtown.
Yeah.
You've never ridden in this car, have you?
No, never. Mean little car.
It's pretty tame until you put your foot in it.
Yes, sir.
That's about the same reaction Mike Regula had.
Yes.
But she jumps.
I agree with you, Mike.
One of my favorite things is the sound of this thing when it's opened up. I mean, you can't get away from the exhaust. It's literally, you could reach down and touch it.
It's almost really, really quiet when it's just idling.
It's pretty tame, isn't it? And what I like the most about it is it didn't lose the spirit of the Miata. It's such a nice handling car. It sits in the road super nice. Yeah. You know, it's the same Miata pickup points in the suspension, and, you know, it just sits in the road and goes. This Cars and Coffee is downtown Columbia, Tennessee, and is held right in front of Mike Wolf from American Pickers' restored vintage car dealership. It's a really cool location on a beautiful town square in the south. There's always a really good turnout of cars, typically 200 to 300, but I've seen as many as 500 vehicles on a really well-attended Cars and Coffee down here. Actually, we're late to the game. People start lining up at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm not going to say that it was the margaritas, but we didn't get here till close to 9 a.m. So finding a parking spot was a bit of a challenge. I could park, maybe not, in front of that door. This thing we can put it pretty much anywhere. No, it's second or third Saturday of every month. Okay. I'm gonna back in right beside that Jeep.
Yeah, perfect.
So you're gonna probably notice something. Being the ace video producer that I am, I kind of forgot to put the camera on the right setting. So you've just got me doing a voiceover for the Cars and Coffee. Sorry. We got to see the new showroom for the Johnson's Horsepowered Garage Museum, and we ran into Tim and Carrie Strange. There were hundreds of beautiful, beautiful cars, but me and Ron were both on the hunt for a nice second-gen Camaro. This little Corvair was built by Tim and Carrie Strange. It's got a tube chassis, 4.3 V6, and a stunning paint job in perfect stance, like Tim always usually has. But this car is what we were really after finding. It's a 1971. It's got the right bumpers. I love that rear spoiler. The paint job looks like you could dive into it. Brand new interior, aftermarket but classy looking gauges, and all the right pieces were there. So me and Ron smoked it over, talked about our cars, looked at some of the different options like the fender braces and the way that this person has styled this car to their taste. Now, coming from my shop, still chasing around rust particles, to see this car up close was really, like I said, inspirational, and it gave me a little boost to see what they can look like and kind of put my vision on top of this guy's work. This is actually a brand new color. I talked to the owner. It's called Arrest Me Red. And no, I'm not painting the GC red. Not gonna happen. But this car looks great in red, as do most Camaros. It is shiny, and it's new paint, so we got that settled. I'm gonna have shiny new paint on mine. Still haven't decided on a color yet. I was kind of surprised, and so was Ron, that there was just a handful of second gens that included this one, a 1980 Z28 T-top car. Stunning. I'm not gonna paint it this color either, but it was stunning. Now, we've both got a ton of work to do on our cars, and I'll catch you guys up on his because he's making great progress on it. We're going two different routes, but it sure is nice to have a buddy to work with. Oh yeah, can't forget this one. It's kind of a Road Warrior version, but hey, there's a seat for every butt. What? No, butt for every seat. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next week.